My name is Brian Cameron with Camelot Home Inspections. I'm a CPI with Internachi. Been doing inspections for about almost 20 years now. I live in the Tyler area, Lindo area, out here in East Texas. And we service the area all the way from DFW to Louisiana border and going up north about 200 miles and south about 200 miles. Today we're going to inspect a house, and the way that I normally inspect my houses when I first get on the property is I walk around the homes, walk in the homes, turn on everything, and just kind of start it that way. So that's where we'll start. This home that we're going to do today, I've actually already walked in through here and cut on all the electricity in all the rooms. That's what I normally do. I want to see if there's any breakers that are going to get hot. So I'll leave all the electricity on. Then as I leave a room and I know that that room's inspected, I switch the light off and I close the door. That's kind of like that's done. This house that we have today is a vacant home. It's probably, I believe the paperwork said 1963 is when it was built. It could possibly have an add-on on this end down here, not sure, just looking on the outside at some cracks that I saw earlier. But normally what I do when I come inside of a home is I look at everything, try to get familiar with it first. I just now seen this attic access up here in the living room. That's different. And I just go through the house. I'm looking for cracks in the walls. I may check some of the outlets as I'm walking through a house, just getting familiar with it, seeing if I'm going to have any open grounds, reverse polarity, receptacles that don't work. But when I actually do the inspection, I check all the plugs. Just like the windows, I check all the windows as well. You got an electrical panel in here. When I first saw this electrical panel and seeing the size of the home, I knew that there had to be another electrical panel somewhere. And so when I was looking around earlier, I did find that. You've got your HVAC unit here, your water heater in here, and looks like to me, this could be either a large game room. There's not a closet in here, but that don't make a difference now. It could still be a bedroom in Texas without a closet. So I've located the water heater, the furnace, the HVAC unit, the electrical panel, one of them. So I'm still going to walk through here. This is a bathroom. Just checking it out, making sure the water works. Let's see if we got hot water. If there wasn't hot water, I don't jack around with the water heaters. Let's say that it's a gas water heater. I definitely will not turn on a gas water heater. I don't mess with them. Now, if it's a breaker off and it's electrical water heater, I will call my office. I have an office and an administrator that makes all the phone calls for me. I will call her and say, hey, look, the breaker's off for the water heater. I need permission to cut it on. They will immediately call the listing agent, find out if we can turn it on. If we can turn it on, they have to send us either an email or a text. And that's, of course, in the phone, and it's saved for a while, just in case something comes back and the water heater shouldn't have been on. We had permission to do that. There have been instances where I was told afterwards not to turn on the water heater, and I didn't cut it on. The buyer's agent did, and it did do some damage to something. Don't really know what it was about, but I didn't get blamed for it because it was already on whenever I got there. So you want to make sure you cover yourself. This whole job is nothing but CYA from my point of view, from a business perspective anyway. So you got the bathroom in here. And again, I'm just looking for anything out of the ordinary right now. Got my other crawl space for the attic is up here. So that's two that I found so far. I know that you can't tell. The man behind the camera can tell. It's cooler on that end than it is on this end. They got a problem with the AC unit on this side of the house over here. So I'm going to walk around to the kitchen. See, just like this light's missing the globe, you know, it's in my mind that I need to notate that. I have an oven here. Now, I pulled this oven up and looked behind it. It's not plugged in. So I'm not going to call anybody about this. It's just going to be as it's not working, it's not plugged in, and I'll make notations of that inside the report once I get there. I've tried to cut this dishwasher on. Normally what I'll do when I get in the kitchen at the beginning of the inspection is I'll cut the oven on, make sure nothing's in there. I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say that plastic was in there, smells up the whole house, people get pissed. So you want to make sure nothing's in there. I usually set it to 350 degrees when one is working, and then I leave it alone. I do not suggest turning on any burners, regardless if they're the electrical burners, the circular type. There could be grease caked up underneath those, and they can actually catch on fire from the heat. But the oven, I'm not too much worried about the oven. It's got a door, and so I will go ahead and run the oven so it can get its temperature up where it needs to be. The dishwasher, I'll put it on normal, start, close. I do the air dry when I do a dishwasher. I don't really do the drying mechanism. If they have stuff inside the dishwasher, I don't. Now, if the dishwasher is empty, I put it on whatever I want. But what'll happen is if they have some baby bottles or something like that at the bottom, it'll melt them baby bottles. So that's why I stay away from them and I only do the air dry. I don't do the dryer that's in there, if that makes sense. Bam, we got another water heater. And I'm noticing some stuff going on here. There's no drain. It looks like a newer water heater on this one, but we'll get to that later. I'm still just looking around the house. Here goes another electrical panel. So that's two. There could be another one, but I doubt it. This looks like it might have been the original electrical panel for the whole house, and that's why I think that the other end may have been added on. That's not that important, but it's good for you to know so you can look where the houses come together, see if there's anything going on with them. All right, got a few more rooms here. Here goes the AC unit, another one that is not working. My guess is, I'm thinking that maybe the condenser outside isn't even turned on or coming on. I'll look at it when I go out there just to see if there's something that I can flip, possibly. I'll worry about that later. Got another bathroom. Again, make sure we're getting hot water. There's two water heaters. So the water heater on the other end, I'm sure, is for that end. And the water heater on this end is going to be for this end. And so you want to make sure you test both of them. If you're ever inside of a house and they have two water heaters, you can turn off one, the valve. If the valve is easy to turn, you can turn the valve off and turn on all the hot water, and you can find out what goes to what, just if you need to. A lot of people don't touch the valves. You go to mess with valves, they could leak. So just look at it. If it looks like it's going to turn, it didn't got a lot of corrosion on it, it's probably going to be okay to turn it. Okay, another bathroom. Like this bathroom doesn't have an exhaust fan in it. I turn on all the fans in the house just to make sure that, you know, they're not wobbly. In closets, I always check each corner here. And the reason why I check these corners on the inside is to see if there's any cracks. A lot of times what somebody flipping a house or something like that, they don't think about it. So the cracks would be right about here going up. I've seen some pretty nasty looking cracks, but the outside looked good because they fixed everything. And on a couple of those, there was a foundation problem. I didn't call a foundation problem. I just had questions about those cracks. And to come to find out, there had been foundation work done to the house, and they got the documentation and everything was fine. But still, the cracks pointed out that there was something there at one time. Okay? Still going through the bedrooms, just observations here, looking at things. I can already tell defective seal there. I can see a little bit of imperfection here. Looks like maybe there was patchwork there. There's nothing wrong with that for the house, but in my mind, I'm going to look for as much of that as I can and see if I can determine that there used to be a lot of cracks that they patched up. Now that's really not a problem, but as you're looking around the house, you may find other cracks, and you kind of put the whole story together. You know, you find a crack out here on the wall, you find a crack here, and maybe there's a crack on the foundation, maybe even a hairline crack. But all that stuff is in the general area, so you kind of keep it in your head where you're at and what you're looking at, and you kind of put all that together. In this situation here, this just looks like a normal little settlement crack that they patched up, but there's no way for me to really know that. Sometimes windows will look like they have a defective seal, but in fact, they're just real dirty. That one right there had to be touched on the outside. So that's preliminary, going over the inside. And we can, now that normally what I do is we'll go on the outside and walk around the outside and see what's going on there. I'm just now starting the inspection. What I like to do whenever I get to a house is I like to go ahead and look at all aspects of it, walking around on the inside, outside, just to see if there's anything that's going to catch my eye on preliminary walk around. Okay? So today we're going to walk around. I noticed these cracks in the front right here, but it does not look like this is a monolithic slab. Okay? And get a look at this right here. That looks as though it's had foundation work before. Now the strange thing is, normally I would see another one over here. So I'm not saying it's had foundation work. I'm just saying that's normally what it looks like when a place has had foundation work. Okay? That would explain some of the cracks that we discussed about on the inside. They're not cracks, they're actually repairs. They used to be cracks, and it looks like that they're just blemishes now. Imperfections is a proper term. So as I'm coming out here and I'm looking around, I'm just walking around the house, going to look and see if I see anything going on. Bam, they should really have this right here as an expansion joint, not just a mortared up joint. That's why I kind of think there's two houses here. Something was put together here. I don't know why that would be like that. Why wouldn't they use an expansion joint caulking for that? So I still just keep on going, trying to find anything out of place. Again, I don't take a lot of time doing this. I just spin around it just to look and see if I see anything, you know, that catches my eye. High soil. There's a crack in the wall over there. You can take a look at it, but we're going to catch up to that in a little bit. Here goes another crack. So these are just things that I'm looking at as I'm going around the house that I will be inspecting closer here in a little bit. There goes another hairline crack in the mortar. Looks like to me that they need to bring in a little bit of dirt here. I have no idea what that is. We'll worry about that later. It could be a water line to the house. I don't know why it would be coming in there. That makes no sense. There goes another crack. This is our AC unit that's not working. At all. I'm looking along the base right here. There's a gap between the wall and this back patio slab. There needs to be something in there to keep water from going in there. If you have a crack like that, it can even be a crack in a walkway, a crack in a driveway. What happens, the reason why people say seal that, is because water will get in that crack. it'll expand the dirt underneath, and when it expands the dirt, it makes the crack worse. Same thing could be going on here. Water falls into that crack. It's expanding the dirt and causing this slab of the patio to push back. Now there are different kind of slabs. On this house right here, it looks like it's going to be a monolithic slab, which is a whole one pour. I don't believe that the front porch, or at least the back, is connected to the house slab. We can go around whenever we're inspecting, and I'll point it out again in the front to see. Screens are missing. Anyway, I think you get the gist of it. I go around the house, I look at it before I actually inspect it. I go into the house, I look at it before I actually inspect it. Once I'm finished doing that, I can go ahead and start the real inspection. It depends on if it's summer or winter. If it's winter, I'll probably start on the inside first. If it's summer, I start on the outside first if I'm starting in the morning time. So in this situation here, I'm probably gonna go ahead and get on the roof and look at the roof and start the inspection. This type of ladder I have, I like it a lot. When I first got it, it is a little squirrely. You got to get used to it. But I learned what to do and what not to do with it. One thing that you don't want to do is put it on gutters, because it's like it's on a sled, okay? If you have to do that and you don't have no other way to do it, you can, but just be real careful. Then, what I learned is I can put it in a corner and instead of just putting it straight up and down, it's still going to do it. I'll tilt this ladder this way, so now then, it's only going to go that way. It isn't going to go that way, if that makes sense. Let's walk around to the front, and I'm not sure if there's gutters on the front or not. Yeah, no gutters on the front. So with the type of ladder that I have, it would be okay to get on from the front, or try to pick an inner corner if you can. If you have that type of ladder, you know, just be careful on it if you're gonna have to get on it with gutters right there, because it is slippery. Haven't never fell off that ladder, but when I first got it, I had a couple of close calls. You just gotta be slow if you're going up that straight part of that gutter because of the way it slides. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get on the roof, and we're going to do an inspection of this roof, see how it turns out. The first thing I do, you don't want to hurt the shingles, okay? But I see if there's another layer there. Now in Texas, I don't think we're required to tell you if there's 2 layers, 3 layers, or whatever. But if I can see it, I'm going to let you know about it, the homeowner or the buyers, who's ever paying me basically. On this roof right here, I never give an age of a roof. I refer to a roofer to do that. On this roof right here though, between me and you, it's probably less than 8 years old, maybe even 5. And the reason why I know that is it's pliable. If you get on a roof and it's not bendable, like this right here bends, and it wants to break or snap off a corner, that roof's probably over 10 years old. So you don't want to put any of that inside the report, but you want it for your own information. A lot of people may not know this, but if you have shingles that are brittle, is what it's called, and let's say there's damage to the roof, most time, like on this roof here, it would be an easy fix if you had a damaged shingle. You just simply unseal the shingles, raise them up, take that shingle out, and these shingles will raise up this much, and you slide another shingle in there and you're fixed. If this roof was brittle and it had damage, you need to let the the owner know that it's possible it cannot be, that your buyer know it's possible that it can't be repaired, because when they raise that shingle up to place another shingle under it, it cracks that shingle. And it just keeps on happening and happening. And you have to raise that shingle up in order to get another shingle under there, if that makes any sense. So I'm gonna go ahead and get on the roof and see what's going on with this roof. Okay, as I'm walking a roof, normally what I will do is I will do a circular motion, starting on the outer edges and work my way in. What I'm looking for is blemishes, shingles that are torn, shingles with wind crests, shingles with wind creases in them. And that's a shingle that's been blown up and it's got a crease normally right here. But as I'm walking around this roof today, not really seeing a lot going on with it. Now, the pitch of this roof that I'm at right now, we're going to check the pitch of this roof to make sure it's at least a 212 or above. It looks like it's going to be over a 212. Remember, anything under a 212, at least in the region that I work at, it should have a row type roofing, not a shingle type roofing. What happened is, if you use shingle type roofing on a roof that should have a row type roofing, it's flatter and water will tend to pond up. And in the wintertime, when that water ponds up, it'll seep under the shingles, like right in here, and then it'll freeze, causing the damage to happen to the shingle. And if that happens year in and year out, that roof under a 212 pitch with normal shingles on it isn't going to last that long. But the only thing we're finding wrong with this roof so far, and it's really not a bad thing, is basically the tree limbs can be cut back just a little bit. They may not be touching it now, but if that wind starts blowing, it comes down and it'll start touching it. When I'm looking at the roof, I'll look at the sewer vent pipes. They're supposed to be at least a 6-inch clearance from the shingle to the top. I look at any stacks that are around. By the way, this right here is in the bathroom. This is a bathroom vent. One reason why I go in the house and I turn everything on is I want all my bathroom vents on to where when I go inside on the outside, if I have caps like this, I can go ahead and feel the air coming out of them, and I know that that bathroom vent works. This bathroom vent is going to be the large bathroom at the end. And here goes another one over here. That one's not on, or it doesn't work. Also, what I look at, since I'm on the roof, is the gutters. These gutters are full of leaves. Then the gutter should be cleaned out. Basically what happened is it stops up the gutter, and water can even run from the gutter back against the fascia board, back above. See if I can get a picture of it. See the drip edge? It can actually go back behind all that if they get stopped up. What's going on with this roof? I don't see any damage to the shingles. I don't even see no wear marks. A lot of times you'll have some little scuff marks. I call it just collateral damage from the installation of the roof. But I'm not seeing anything going on with this one at all. Ah, and that would be why it is a new roof. Look right here. I don't know if you can see it or not. Normally, if the roof is older, that's a straight line string that they put here. They snap it, so they'll get a straight line going up. Normally, these right here will wear off, and they won't be there. So that can kind of be a tattletale sign that this is probably a newer roof. I would say it'd be under 7 years old. If 5 years old, something like that. Now I am noticing something here. The sewer vent pipe right here is less than 6 inches. It should at least be 6 inches. And it looks like that is stilled. Yeah, it looks like it's stilled. I'll find out in the attic. And also, I'm seeing a little goop here. Don't know why that would be there. It looks like a roof repair. Anytime I see something like that, I'll mark where it is in the report. I'll come back here like this. I'll take a picture in my photos. Once it's in the computer, I will then point an arrow to it. I'll take another picture, and then I'll take a picture of the goop. I'll also take a picture. This would be in the plumbing section. That first one would be in the roof section if you're in Texas. Showing that that right there is shorter than 6 inches. Another thing I like to do is take a picture of the whole roof from end to end. Okay. A pitch gauge on my phone. And the pitch gauge that's on my phone, I can turn it on and I'll be able to check and see what that pitch is at the front. So I'm gonna go to the front now. Okay, we're on the roof right now and I'm checking the pitch on it. From my phone, I have a pitch gauge and it's showing 1.512 pitch. Okay? My rule of thumb, and if you read on the internet, I think you'll find the same thing, that if it's over 212 pitch, shingles are fine. If it's under 212 pitch, it should have roll roofing. Now this one is at 1.512. I can't speculate if anything's going to happen to this roof, if that should really be done. I just need to tell people what it is. The information I have is anything over a 12, anything over a 212 pitch has shingles. Anything under 212 pitch has roll roofing. You look at this roof. This is a large roof to come up here and redo it. The roofer, unless he knows something that I don't, which is very possible, he should have told them that they really need to have a roll roofing in this area. Again, what had happened, and I don't know if you can see it from the ground, but some of the areas, it's not flat and smooth like a sheet metal would be. You know, it's got some dips in it. And if water stands in those dips and it freezes, then what's going to happen is the shingles are going to come apart in places, because when it's water, it's going to seep through cracks a little bit. It's going to spread it apart, cause them to become unsealed. Okay? So now I'll be getting off the roof, then we're going to walk around the outside and do a real inspection of the outside. Then from that point, we'll go into the attic. Okay, I just come off the roof. One thing I want to mention, if you have a ladder and you get on the roof, then you get off the roof, you need to fold your ladder up and get it away from there. I've seen in the past where people will get on a roof, they'll continue inspecting, but they'll leave their ladder on the roof just there, and they'll get it when they leave. You have kids that can crawl around and climb up on that ladder. Homeowners may want to go up there, and you really don't want anybody to get hurt on the ladder because you left it down. That's just my rules, and my other inspectors, that's what they're supposed to do. So when you're done with the ladder, put it up. There's no reason for it to be out. If you get on the roof and you need to go in the attic, you can do one right after the other and still have your ladder with you. And then just put up the ladder, just be on the safe side. Now what we're going to do is the outside of the house, going around the outside. We've done the roof, done with the roof. Now we're going to start the outside. What I'm looking for when I'm looking through here is I'm looking for any cracks in the wall. I'm looking at electrical plugs, receptacles, to make sure that they're functioning, and they should be on a GFCI if they're outside. I look at the lights, the wall lights, to make sure they're on. This one right here is off. I'm just going to make sure that it's not on something by itself, and it shouldn't be. So we're just doing a general inspection of everything on the outside, and I'm just going to go ahead and start. You have a window right here. The way that I normally do a window, if it doesn't have a screen, is I just put my hand in front of it. That way I know what that means. I don't even need a picture of that. I just put in the report, no window. These are your window lintels. That one's rusty. I will step back and get a picture. And again, in that picture, and I'll show you here in a little bit in my computer, that first picture will have an arrow pointing to this. Then the second picture will be that. And that needs to be sanded down and painted. So what I'm going to do first is we're going to look at the soffit and the fascia. So I see a little bit of wood rot on this end right here. Again, I get back in the back here. I take a picture. Maybe want to take another picture of it. And then I get an up-close picture. And basically, it'll just be moisture damage to wood at the left corner of the house. Another thing, I don't do south, north, east, and west. I do front, back, left, and right. It just seems like that's a lot easier. And the front door is normally the front entry door. So if people go in and out of the back all the time, they don't really even use the front door, I still count that front door as the front. I just make sure that people know that. So I keep on going down here. Let me show you this real quick. I don't know if you can see it, but you see that black mark right there? That up there, I'll have a lot of clients to ask me, is that mowed? What is that? I don't know anything about mowed, and mowed is not in my reports anywhere, so I don't know if it's mowed. But a lot of times you'll see this right here, and it'll be on the soffit too. It'll just be like a dark fungus of some sort. And it's because that inside of the house has shade, and it's the ground evaporating the water from it, and then it goes on there. So if you ever have that, you can ease your client's mind by telling them that more than likely that's it. Remember, CYA. I don't know for sure that's it, but more than likely that's it from internet things I've read and stuff like that. It just gathers up and it goes up against that. It can look really bad, but it's not. All right? So I'm looking at the fascia, the soffit. I see that we have soffit vents, not a problem. Places where there's seams, you want to make sure they're caulked real well. If they're not, what'll happen is water will drip off and get in there, and throughout the years it's going to rot those areas. Okay, so everything looks good with the soffit. We do have one little soffit vent down here that it looks like it's loose. Should be better secured. It's no big deal really, but I'm going to notate it anyway. You get a squirrel or something in the wintertime that wants to get in the area where there's warmth, he'll tear that screen off. All right. So now we're just going to come and just visually scan the wall. Also look down here. I see a little crack right here. That doesn't really bother me. I see a receptacle. It should have a watertight cover. It doesn't. We're going to test, and it does not work. And also it's got an open ground. If you can see that. So two things going on. That is a GFCI receptacle that I'll mark as faulty. So I'll put my finger there and I'll try to get a picture pushing it to where to trip, and it doesn't trip. All right, then I'll come back. That's one picture. Then I'll come back, take a picture, and show that it's an open ground. Now, normally, I have a GoPro that I would, not a GoPro, Surface Pro that I would just carry around. And I talk into it, and I'll show you a little bit of that, but we're not going to do that today. I rarely use this camera here, except for going in attics and tight squeezes, places where I'm not going to take the computer. Okay, so this is a little bit different, but I'll show you how I actually do an inspection once we get on the inside. All right, now that I'm looking at this crack right here, it's a crack in the mortar. Now, what's suspicious here is if you'll notice that crack in the mortar, which doesn't look like anything at all. But then, down here, here goes another crack. So, what I need to figure out is if this concrete here is attached to the house. So the way that we're going to do that is we're going to come down here at the end. Well, it looks like it is. Normally, you wouldn't have a brick there like that, and they've got it mortared around. But you would want to see if there's a slab joint there. Normally, there'd be a slab joint right about here, and you'd have to move some dirt away. Looking at this right here, right now, looks like it is connected to that whole thing. So, if that slab is connected all the way down, then we've got that crack going on in this area down here. That could be a problem with that concrete there. But the weird thing is, if you look right here, this looks like a slab joint right in here, going to here, going to here. And then if you'll notice, when I look down there, I didn't see a slab joint. So that's one reason why I think this part of the house was built on. And what they did, when they poured the concrete for this part of the house over here, and this, and then they concrete this part too, with that same concrete. So, rather than to get into a lot of stuff here, basically, I'm going to notate this right now, and let's see if we see anything else going down the road around this house that just this by itself isn't really a lot. But if there are other things collateral with this, it could add up a little bit. Let's just see what we find as we go around the house. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get my pictures of this area. And there's no reason to go into detail about how there's a slab joint there and not a slab joint here. You can tell them that, well, it is possible that this side of the house is an add-on. It's possible. The reason why I think it's an add-on, the electrical panel on this side of the house is older than the electrical panel on this side of the house. I haven't been in the attic. The attic will normally be a tattletale. If this used to be a gable end, I should be able to tell that. Or if it was a hip end, they cut out so that they could get to the attic space on the other side. Those are things that I can just figure out. Again, this doesn't matter inside the report, all right? But it matters to me to where I can know what's going on with this house. I'm not going to mention the slab joints, but I see the slab joints there. That kind of explains, since this concrete on this side is not a part of the main concrete, that crack really isn't that bad, okay? If that would have been a whole slab here and that concrete was there, I mean if that would have been a whole slab, monolithic slab all the way down, then that crack is a little bit more, grabs my attention a little bit more, because that's the home's, that's part of the real home's foundation. A lot of explanation there, but anyway, I want to keep on going. Okay, when I walk down here, I see this square right here. I think we might have mentioned it earlier. This right here looks like to me that it could possibly be a foundation pier that was here, okay? I don't have proof of that and I don't know that. I have wording inside of my, my software, and I'll explain what I'm thinking here, and I'm not sure if you'll see that or not. I'll try to make it a point to put this in there so that you can see how it's worded. Basically, there is movement going on with this house, but keep in mind, every single house there's movement going on. All right, we've got a crack over here. Again, it's mortar cracks, and that's movement. So the house is settling, moving, you call it what you want, but there is movement here. Now, how bad is the movement? We really don't explain that. That's not our job. We just see movement like this that looks more than usual movement. We're going to mention it. In this case, if this right here is a pier, I've already got a macro in my computer basically that says there's been movement on this concrete slab. There is possible foundation repair. Recommend for documentation if there was foundation repair. If there was not foundation repair, we recommend a foundation company to come out and further evaluate the foundation. It's that simple, okay? Because you're not saying something's wrong with it, all right? But you're not saying nothing's wrong with it. But you're letting the buyer know that there could be something wrong with it. Now, I'll let the FIM guy digest all that and try to make sense out of it. Okay, another thing we need to be aware of, we've got cracks down here, we've got cracks in the wall. Now look up here at our freeze board. We've got separation at our freeze board here. Normally when you got separation at a freeze board, that tells you that the wall's moved. Doesn't necessarily mean that there's a foundation problem, but we do have more evidence that there's movement at this structure. And the more evidence we build up, the better it's going to be for our buyer when they present the report to the seller and they're showing all this stuff. It's here. They can see it. So I get all these cracks in there. Or I take pictures of all these cracks around here. And we continue on around the house. Weather stripping's bad at the door. Again, I get back here so they can see where I'm at, the buyer or seller or whoever's looking at the report, and I take a picture of that. Then there's wording under it. And let me say something about this before we get out here in the sun. If this brick was made to where it went all the way past down into the ground, about this much down into the ground, that's not considered high soil. It may be in conducive condition because you can't see the slab, but that's not considered high soil. They do make brick, they do make homes and the styles of them to where the brick goes past the foundation. What you have to do to know if it's actual high soil or not, this is what I do. I go inside the house, I measure from the windowsill, then the floor. Then I come outside and I measure between that, roughly that same area and the ground. Again, what I'm talking about is if you run into a house where these bricks go past the foundation, you'll run into that. At least if you're here in Texas, you will. That slab could be up here, and that dirt might be up here. But since you know that that goes all the way down, you may not worry about it. But you still need to worry about it because the ground don't need to go past the slab. On a concrete slab, it needs to be at least 4 inches under it, below that bottom brick, if it's like this. But the main thing is, it needs to be 4 inches below the walkable area on the inside, if that makes sense, okay? This house isn't like that, so this is pretty easy. Again, we got another crack in the brick. So I'm gonna get a picture of it here. We also notice there's no weep hose. This is my no weep hose. If you're using a camera to do your report, and that's the only thing that you're using, then you go back to your computer. You can do that, that's fine. That's what I'm doing today. I normally don't, but that's what I'm doing today. Just make sure that you're telling the story for yourself too. Too many times when I first started, I would come up and I'd go, oh yeah, that's a crack, snap. I'd get back to my car, or I'd get even to the, what did I take a picture of? So you want to get back far enough to where you know where you're at. And then take a picture of your cracks. I used to even point to where I was actually looking at. So I would point, take a picture, then I'd take another picture without the point. That point before the picture told me what I was pointing to and what I needed to look at for the narrative whenever I wrote it up. Okay, we got a downspout here that's damaged, missing its elbow. Back here, anytime I see the grade like that, I recommend they bring some dirt in. There's a pipe back here. If I don't know what something is, I don't get too detailed on it. I just make sure I point it out to them and know exactly where that is, and they can figure out what's going on there. My thing about it being a water supply line is, why would they have a water supply line in the back unless this place is on a water well? If it's on a water well, no one told me, and I don't see anything going on that looks like a well unless it's up there in that building. I haven't went out in the front yet to try to find a meter, but I will. This condenser right here, this first one, it's not level. They need to be level, or the compressor oil that's on the inside could lean to one side and cause problems with the compressor. This one isn't level. The next condenser should be at least 3 inches off the ground, and it's not. Also, this is the one that's not working on the inside. So I'll show you this over here. There's no insulation around the refrigerant line. And notice this is the low side that has the refrigerant insulation around it. And that right there is your high side line. We've got another electrical receptacle that's missing its watertight cover. And it works. We have a downspout that should be at least 5 inches out away from the home, because you don't want that water coming back against that foundation. It can cause foundation problems. We've got a pipe sticking out of the wall here. I know what that is. That's probably a drain line for the washing machine. Out in the country, they don't really talk a lot about that as far as it being bad. So I will notate, and I'll look on the inside just to make sure. But more than likely, that's what that is. And I'll just let them know that it's draining beside the house. It doesn't need to drain beside the house. It needs to go out there in that field somewhere. We got another little square here. So that is possibly another pier. There's another one there. Looks like one there. So this house is, I would be willing to bet that this house has had foundation work. I'm not going to sit here and say it has though, okay? You don't want to get into that. I'll tell you a quick one. The seller says, my house has never had a foundation. Why did you tell them that? My house has never had a foundation problem. Why did you tell them that? Well, I can see that it has, okay? The buyers backed out because they were worried about the foundation. And this person didn't know that their house had a foundation. It took me going over to their house and showing them that. And then I said, you need to get a foundation guy out here. He can tell you. Foundation guy comes out there. Yeah, it's had foundation work. It doesn't matter if I'm right or wrong. I don't care about that. That took time out of my day to go over there, okay? You're better off not committing, this is my personal view, you're better off not saying, yes, this has had foundation work. You're better off saying, it's possible it's foundation work. It's that simple. And then ask for documentation. If they did have it, fine, get the documentation. Maybe it's still under warranty. Most of the time that's a lifetime warranty. If it didn't have it, then they need to have a pier and beam company come out here. I mean, not a pier and beam, but a slab foundation company come out here and take a look at that, okay? So, this house has definitely had foundation work. That's supposed to be funny, man. All right. Right here, we don't want gaps in the concrete like this. We don't, between the building and the patio or walkway or anything. If you have that like that, water gets in there and it swells the dirt up, causes the patio to move over time. All along, when I'm walking, I've been looking at the soffits to make sure there's no soffit damage. Along with the wall, the bricks, the mortar, the windows. It looks like to me that there's galvanized steel here for the plumbing. It could be cast iron. It's hard to tell. In Texas now, we have to put down what plumbing line it is. I have one that says unknown, not visible, and then the rest of them say appears to be cast iron, appears to be galvanized steel, or it's either cast iron or galvanized steel, or it's PVC or whatever. You have to put that down now. If you can't see it, you can't talk about it, so it's not visible to you. All right? All right. Again, this area right here, this walkway, has a gap between the foundation of the house. I take a picture of that. Got a little bit of wood right there. It isn't much, but sometimes you may feel like you're being nitpicky. And I feel that way a lot. But it doesn't matter really. You can be nitpicky. That's what this whole thing is about. That's just a little piece of rot right there. But if the people get moved in and see that, they think I missed something. They'll call you up and say, look, there's some rotten wood here. So if they think you missed that, they're going to think you missed some other stuff too. So now then they're going to start looking around. And that's why I try to get everything that I can inside of my reports for my buyers. Plus they want to know, you want them to fix this. They probably want to fix this stuff. So we're only missing like 2 inches of wood here, but still, it's 2 inches of wood. Why should the buyer have to fix that? Or at least they want to know that what it's going to take to fix it. They can know that it's there to fix it. They can put it on their wish list. How's that? When I'm going around to the windows, I make sure that the windows are sealed properly. Okay, this area over here, number one, we got a gutter downspout that needs to extend out 5 feet. This land right here goes this way. You can even see that water stands here, okay? So I'm gonna make mention of that. I wanna come back here and take a picture. My arrows are gonna point down towards that house and this land. It shouldn't be a real problem here, but the water is definitely getting in that area and you don't want it to. We got another crack. And I don't know if this will be edited out or not, but if you found something going on with the foundation, actually going on with the foundation, such as the piers that look like they're piers to me, then you got these cracks right here. You put all that stuff together, and then you put it in the report. You're not going to have to worry about anybody coming back on you for a foundation problem. Just remember that. You're better off putting down. I would much rather for a foundation company to come out and say there's not a problem with this foundation than for a company to come out that they called because I didn't call it and say, yeah, you need a whole new foundation. You need a bunch of piers. So don't be coy. A lot of inspectors out there are worried about getting business from realtors. They're afraid that they're going to kill the deal or they're going to knock out a sale. That doesn't even cross my mind. Yes, I want business, and I would like for all the realtors to basically refer me out, throw my name out there, put my name on their list. But not all of them are going to do that. But don't worry about it. Just those type of realtors, you don't want that type of integrity hanging over you anyway. The type of realtors that I want and the type of realtors that I have that refer me, basically, the type of realtors that refer me, they have integrity. They know my inspections are tough. They know that I'm a nitpicker, and I'm going to let their buyer know everything about it. I'm one of the inspectors where this realtor won't call me or won't pass out my name or won't refer me to their clients. But as soon as they purchase a house for themselves, their cousins, their friend, they say, call Camelot Home Inspections. Never hear from that realtor. They never refer me unless I'm inspecting their own house. So that's a compliment to me. So my point is, don't worry about what you're finding. As long as what you're finding could be a problem or is a problem, just go with it. I want to keep on now. All right, as we get back right here where we started, we found what appeared to be foundation piers, cracks in the wall. I am going to recommend, like I was saying earlier, I have a saying, get documentation. It looks like there's been previous movement. Get documentation on a previous foundation work. If documentation is not there, get a foundation company to come out and take a look at this. Period. Done. Okay, now that we're finished with the outside, we're going to start on the inside. But I would like to say something first. On a normal day of inspecting, I try to get rid of the things that are not necessarily hard for me, but the things that are time consuming to where the rest of the inspection is downhill. Electrical panels, the HVAC unit, the water heater, the roof, the attic or crawl space. I try to get those out of the way first. That way, once I'm done with that, the only thing left is basically, I'm not going to have to crawl around anymore like inside of an attic. The electrical panel sometimes can be a little bit technical, looking at the things that's in there and going and writing them down, what you're going to write down. So I like to get rid of those items first. So where we are right now is we're on the inside of the house. I went ahead and did the outside exterior of the house because it's probably, I think it's about 110 degrees today actually. And it's better if we're in here now during the heated part of the day. So I'm going to go ahead and start up here in this attic. I don't have the greatest ladder for where this is, but we're going to make it work. Okay, I use this type of flashlight, which really works well. In Texas, you have to watch out for brown recluse, especially around these attic accesses. Well, they'll be right there, right there, right there, or right there in one of them corners, or on the other side of that lid. Okay, we're up inside of an attic today, or right now. Okay, we're up inside of an attic. As you can see, over there we do have insulation missing from those walls. Now, if you'll recall, the thermal imaging camera showed heat there. As I'm looking, we have another access hatch. We're going to worry about that in later. Not going to worry about it right now. Insulation looks pretty good up in this area. They are missing collar ties, which go from one rafter to the other, about every 2 or 3 rafters. They've got good knee bracing, purlin strouts, whatever you call them. People call them different words, different places. They don't have any baffles
and baffles keep the insulation off of the soffit vents. So I'm gonna pan down here. Everything looks fine. Insulation, they could probably use a little bit more insulation, but for the most part, everything looks good. What we're gonna look for in this wall right here goes all the way up into the attic. I noticed from the attic side that there was insulation missing. I use a thermal imaging camera. I can put it up here and you can see where the insulation is missing. There's more insulation missing. It's 81 degrees on that wall. Then you got more missing right there, 85 degrees. The wall temperature in here is actually 79 or 80. But this helps explain to your client what's going on. I mean, I guess makes you look professional. I mean, come on, man. Let's get real. This is high-tech equipment here. And you're able to see things that most inspectors can't because they don't have this type of equipment. So you show it to somebody, they're gonna tell all their friends about it, and then they're gonna come calling you for a home inspection next time. A self-righteous home inspector would say. But, all right, let's find this other one. Let me go get my ladder. Okay, anytime you have a ladder like I have, and you're gonna get up inside of an attic like this right here, the best thing to do is to, if you can, put the bottom part of the ladder against the wall or whatever's there, and then take it up towards the edge. Okay, everything's locked. The reason why, you know, if you fall and break your leg, you're not gonna be able to finish the inspection, and the people are gonna be mad at you for that. So you wanna finish the inspection. And this way, the ladder's not gonna fall out from under you, and you're not gonna break a leg. So now we're gonna get up here inside this attic. This is the other part of this house. I don't know if you saw the other part or not, but you're gonna see this part. See, that ain't too bad, brother. That ain't too bad. And they've got thermal, a barrier here too on this side. On the other side they didn't, remember? So we've got 87 degrees. Let's do something for kicks and giggles. Let's go look at the other one real quick. There we go, look at the difference. That's 114, 115 degrees compared to 87 degrees over there. So if anybody asks you if the little solar barriers work, they do. Okay? It's quite a bit of difference. Oh, I got it turned around wrong. That's okay. Watch your head. Okay, inside this attic, it's way too cool. They got some kind of, I'm gonna say this. Let me turn this ladder around. I think they have something that is, okay. This attic is really cool. The one end was 115 degrees, this end's 87. I know this has got a solar barrier on it, but I'm guessing that somewhere up here, there's probably gonna be an open ductwork somewhere. That's what it is. That vent right there, remember when I was on the roof a while ago, I said it's not blowing? Maybe you don't remember. But that's just blowing the cool air up here. So I'll take a picture of that and notate that it shouldn't be blowing inside the attic. And as you can see, the rest of the attic is going to be not accessible. This is as far as I can get. And as you can also see, it looks like this end's been added on to the house. All right, that's all I can see here. So until next time, later dudes. Okay, we just come out of the attic. This side of the attic was a little bit cooler because of a bathroom vent that was blowing up there. The other side of the attic was 116 degrees, which really and truly isn't bad at all from where we are. Normally the average, once it gets 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, is about 140 to 160 degrees. That's the heat in the attic. Now when you're up there like that, you don't want to be up there very long. You want to see where you're going to go, get there and get back. The heat will get to you in a way to where you don't know that it's happening until it happens. And then you're passed out and then somebody finds you later. So I don't really have a time limit on it. I feel my body, they say you shouldn't do that because it can sneak up on you and you won't know it. I probably go up there when it's 150, 160 degrees. I'll go in there for just maybe 5 minutes and come out, rest, go do something else, 5 minutes, come out, and I work it that way. But you want to be careful inside of attics. Not only are they dangerous anyway, but you start getting a little bit dizzy from heat or whatever, you end up falling. And if it's a 2-story, falling into a living room that has a 20-foot ceiling, it's going to hurt. All right. So next we're going to go do electrical panels. We have 2 in this house. Right now, I'm pretty sure that this one's the original. So anytime you do a panel, touch it with the back of your hand. That way if you grab it like this and it's got power to it, you're going to grab it and you're going to get electrocuted. Okay? That one's got a hole in it right there. It needs a plug. So basically, just looking at this right here right now, there are no arc fault circuit interrupters. There's no, it's not labeled properly. And it needs a plug in it. I'll get back here since I got 2 of them and take a picture of it to where I'll know exactly where I am. I don't know if they are or not, but these are pointed screws. They're not supposed to be pointed inside of an electrical panel. And if they're pointed, I'll explain to you why. They are very pointed. All right, you don't want a pointed screw in an electrical panel because when you're screwing it in, it connects with those wires in there. It's going to short something out and maybe shock you. Well, this may end up being not accessible. There we go. Okay. Okay. What I'm looking for right now is double taps. That's where 2 wires go into 1 breaker. I'm not seeing anything like that here. Okay. Right here, you have 2 neutrals going into 1. You can't do that. Up here at the top, if you'll look at those wires going in through the metal case, there should be a grommet there or a protective sleeve around the wires so that they don't get chafed. If they move with settlement and then it finally cuts it, then it will end up shocking someone when they touch the panel. This right here should be grounded. I don't see a ground, not grounded, bad word. This right here should be bonded. That's your neutral bus bar. Your neutral bus bar should be grounded there. I'm not seeing a ground on. Your neutral bus bar should be bonded. I'm not seeing a bond anywhere there. Hold on. There's a bond right there. See it going there? And it's sliding around there. Okay, that's a good thing. Without that, let's say that one of the wires, the case cuts into one of the wires, and you come up and you touch it. You're bonding that right then, and it's going to try to trip the breaker because you touched it. So therefore, what you want to do is, if it's not bonded, you need to make sure that you look at it, and if it's not bonded, you need to put that in there. If it's bonded, and let's say a wire gets chafed, it's going to trip the breaker, and it's not going to do anything to you if you come up and touch the case. Okay? Okay, thank you. So what I do is I'm gonna take a picture of the double tapped neutrals, which are right here, and of the wires that need a protective sleeve around them at the top. That's really it. If you'll notice, we have service wires, main service wires coming into this one. Now, I'm going to leave this one open and go look at the other electrical panel. The reason why I leave this electrical panel open is because as I'm looking at this panel, now I'm going to go to the other one and look at it. There could be something going on at the other panel that I may need to come and see if that wire's leading back to here, because it may be feeding off this panel. I'm thinking the other panel has its own main service wires coming in also from the meter. So they've split up the meter on the outside. So let's go check that out. Something you'll want to do and I don't have mine with me, bad me, but you'll want to take a box cutter and go along the edges here if it's been painted over. Because when you go to turn that off, take this off, it can peel their paint back and your sellers are going to get mad. Okay, I look at the panel, it looks like it's labeled. They have one arc fault circuit interrupter in this thing. Let's talk about an arc fault circuit interrupter. The area that I live in, they don't have these everywhere. For instance, if they're building a new house in Tyler, Texas, the arc fault circuit interrupters are only in the bedrooms for the most part, unless the builder wants to put them everywhere, and they usually don't. But all my information tells me that they should be in the living room, the dining room, the hallway, all these other places. And so I list where they're supposed to be, and I still put this inside the report, even though, let's say that city doesn't require them everywhere. I still put them that they should be everywhere. That's what I do. I don't know, I guess Trek has something to do with that, I'm sure. All right, man. I guess if I can find something real quick. Okay, there we go. The panel's off now. And as you can see, we do have some service from the meter to in here coming in. So it's not tapped in from the other. From what I can tell, it's not tapped in from the other electrical panel. We got our little green screw up here, which shows us that that's a bond screw. So that's bonded, and there's a piece of metal going from one side to the other that's bridged over to this side, so that's bonded. If you'll notice, our neutrals are by themselves. You have something really weird going on here. Here's a 100 amp breaker right here. I have no idea where that goes. I don't know anything about it. Then you have this big old wire right here that is just sticking up, and then one's been cut here. So I'm going to refer that to an electrician. You don't have to get real big on the words or anything like that. You can just simply say, for me, I haven't never seen this like this. Is that the normal way to do it? I don't know. Basically, recommend an electrician to further evaluate the way the 100 amp wire breaker is wired in, and to find out if the other wires are live or not. That's about it. Also, see the tape right here? I have no idea what that's about. Why would they put tape over that? So I'm going to take a picture of that, and that will also be in the report. Just asking, why is there tape over it? Recommend an electrician to answer that question as well. We've got a spare breaker down here. Okay, I really don't understand. Okay, it's possible, look at this wire right here. That's 200 amps. Let's go see if the other side of the house turned off. Okay. It's not coming in from the service. This right here is being fed by the other electrical panel. Okay, these wires up here, you see the red stripe and you see them right there. Then we'll go to the other panel and I can show them to you again. So that over there is the main electrical panel. This right here will be considered a sub panel. And here's the breaker for it right there. Runs down, up, and then it goes back there to it. So we now have an answer for that. Where's that getting fed from? Right here. Now we need to find out what these wires right here go to. And when I say we need to find out, we need to put it in the report so an electrician can let the people know. They need to call an electrician for that. And that's about it on the electrical panel. If you'll notice, there's no GFCIs on this one either, except for that one. The end. Okay, there are 2 HVAC units in this house. This is one of them here that is not working. Okay, what I'm doing now is I want to go ahead and shut the unit off to where it can't come on at all. When I got here, it was set up on heat to work that way, and I switched over to cool. Also, you can tell, I don't know if you can read this or not, but if you'll look in there, you'll see emergency heat. That's a heat pump. Then heat, then off, then cool. In order to see if it's emergency heat or not, you can look on the thermostat and find that. Okay, what I basically look at on this is I try to find out, make sure that it has the right insulation around it. This little condensation pipe should have insulation around it as well. In this case, I don't take cases off. A lot of people will take the case off. I'm not one of those people. What I do is I will take and remove the filter, hopefully. And it's dirty. I'll take a picture of that. I want to see this most likely has an A-frame, A coil in it. I want to try to see that and see if it's dirty. And the answer is, God, is it dirty? The answer is yes, it's dirty. Okay. So it doesn't look like there's been any kind of water leak. But if you look up in there, you can see one messed up, dirty coil. That thing's filthy. It needs to be cleaned. You'll put this on the report. Some of these things cost like $600 to have cleaned. So that'd be a good find for somebody. Normally, what I do is I'll take my camera. That's the hard way to do it. AJ likes to do things the hard way, I guess. Anyway, I'll take my camera. And I'll slide it under here. Then right here. I'll take a picture of it slanted that way, and then straight up. Now I'll bring this out. Oh yeah, that'll work. Now, I'm gonna put this back together. This is the one that wasn't working, by the way. I wonder why. On this vent, I'll go ahead and write up that these screws will not fasten properly. They're actually stripped out because they just have them in drywall. I get back and I take a picture of the unit I'm at. That way I'll know which HVAC unit I am at. Now let's go to the next HVAC unit. It's down here. Okay. So I get a picture of it back here. I can see that it needs the insulation around the condensation line. The reason why it needs insulation around that is this tends to sweat. And when it sweats, it gets water down here. And over time, it can cause actual moisture damage. Filter's dirty also. What I'm doing is I'm taking a picture again of the evaporator coil. This one looks okay. If you can see that. See how clean the coils are. Now then, let's look at the other one. It's a big difference, huh? I mean, you can't even see the fins on that one. Okay, so that means that we're done with the HVAC units. Now let's slide over to the water heaters. The reason why I have the temperature pressure relief valve line on right now is because I wasn't sure if this was coming out the way it's supposed to, or if they had it tied into an inside drain. If they had the temperature pressure relief valve tied into an inside drain, you can't do that. It shouldn't be connected to the drain on the inside of the house. And for some reason, when testing the temperature pressure relief valve, water got inside the pan. Okay, so what I do, inside this water heater right here, we're going to take a picture of the water heater. Then I take a picture of the ID plate. On this water heater, it should have the wiring conduit, it should have a disconnect here as well. It has an on and off valve, no problem there. Everything else looks good. The water in the pan, I think, just comes from a leaky temperature pressure relief valve. One other thing, this is PVC, and PVC cannot be used for a temperature pressure relief valve line. Up closer, I get a picture of the ID plate. That gives me my gallons. I've notated that there's water in the pan because of a leaky temperature pressure relief valve, but this line right here is PVC. It shouldn't be PVC. It should be copper. It can be PEX. It can't be PVC. It can be CPVC, but this is not CPVC, it's PVC. This line up here should be in a conduit, and also they need a disconnect here for the power. Okay, let's go to the other water heater. Okay, we're at the other water heater. I take a picture of the water heater from off distance, then I take a picture of the identification plate. I notate that this is a 40 gallon, the other was 50 gallon. Down there at the bottom, I notate that there's no line going to it. Now, we also are notating that there's no conduit for the wire that's out right there. Also, the wire splices should be in a junction box that actually has its own junction box made, but they don't have it there. And there should be a disconnect. Now, it is possible that this electrical panel has a disconnect for that water heater, or a breaker for that water heater. That's fine with me because it's in close proximity. As you can see, I'm standing right here and it's just a couple of steps away. So that would be okay, but the problem we have is none of the breakers are labeled. So I am still going to write up that there needs to be a disconnect. If the breaker was labeled here and it was the right size breaker and the water heater was right there and didn't have a disconnect, that would be fine for me writing that up. Some people are different, but it's within the feet of the unit. In recapping on this, you need a line down here, or you can have a wet switch. Is just fine if you have a wet switch that runs on batteries, or you can plug it in, and then you would cap that off. Again, you don't want to explain to the client how to fix something. I'm just explaining that because of the video. Then you got your conduit with your disconnect, and everything else looks fine. So now then, we're going to move on to the kitchen inspection. Basically run the water, let that run for a little bit, and then I'll start checking things. This here is a tester for microwaves. You just get a little piece of paper, not paper, but paper towel wet, throw it in there, put on like 10 seconds, start it. And it works. Now we're going to test the vent. Okay. I did not see that up in the attic. All the electrical outlets or receptacles above a kitchen counter should be on a GFCI. Doesn't matter if they're near water or not. That doesn't matter. What matters is inside the kitchen, if there's an electrical receptacle above a kitchen counter, it should be on a GFCI. These are not, so of course that will be written up. I'm guessing there's none. Ooh, open ground. That indicates that that one is an open ground. So again, I take a picture of it from afar. So when I'm doing the report, I can say, hey, it's to the left of the sink. Another one. I'll know where that one is. But none of them, none of them are on GFCI. So I take a picture of those two, and I take a picture of these two. And then I'll do this. Okay, I don't think the dishwasher is working. I've tried it several times. So we're going to mark it as it's loose in the counter. It's not, it needs to be better secured in that cabinet. As you can see. Yeah, it's not, we're going to call it not working. When I do the dishwasher, I check the racks for rust and then the soap dish. On dishwashers, if this cap right here is missing, that's for liquid cleaner, or rinse aid actually. I write that up. If that's like that, I write that up. When I first get to a house, I put the soap dish down. I normally just run it normal, and then I run it air dry if it's got plastic in there. If there's nothing in there at all, I run it normal, hot water, and then drying is what I usually do. So when it gets finished, I'll open this up. If this soap dish is still closed, that means there's a problem with the soap dish, and I write that up. In this situation, we're just going to write the whole thing up. It doesn't work. Under the kitchen kitchen sink, you have your dishwater line here. It should either have a high loop or an air gap. It has neither one. And the way I do it is I go underneath, start here, work my way here, here, and here. I get all the elbows where if water was dripping, it would have to drip there. And then I still kind of feel around the bottom. So I'm not seeing any type of leak under here. Watch out too for, it isn't on this one, a lot of times there'll be a line here coming up about this tall in this drain line. They'll have the dishwasher connected to it. That's a no-no. You can't be between here and there. All the gases from the sewer are going back into the dishwasher when you do that. So any line that's open right here, unless it's an air gap or something like that for the thing, shouldn't be a hole in it. Your lines that connect should be on this side of the P-trap. The P-trap, water's in there like this, and that way smells don't go back and forth or come in the house anyway. So I'm finished with the kitchen. What I do is I come back here, I take a picture of that side of the kitchen, and I take a picture of that side of the kitchen. And I will take a picture underneath the kitchen. We're in one of the bathrooms of this 10,000 square foot home where they have 11 bathrooms, 20 rooms, and a living room, and then they have one car garage. Don't know why. Anyway, we're going to start our inspection in here. When I come into a bathroom, I've already done a preliminary look around at things. First thing I try is the plugs, make sure they trip when I try them. I turn on the hot water first. And I let it run until it gets hot. And I turn it off. You don't want to run the hot water continuously while you're doing other stuff because you'll run out of hot water in the water heater and then you won't be able to test your other fixtures. I've done that before and I've had to wait until the water kind of warms up. Then you have the bathtub here and it's a jacuzzi. We'll let that fill up. If it will. Then we'll check the toilet. I check the toilet to see if it's loose at the base, and this one is. That's the way I do that. For some kind of reason it's not flushing. We don't work on them or anything, but you know, it never hurts to try to find out. We're going to put down that the toilet does not flush properly. And it's loose at the base. So what I'll do is, I'll come all the way back here. I'll take a picture of the bathroom that I'm in. Take a picture of the toilet's base. That lets me know it's loose at the base. And then I have my finger on that, letting me know that it's not flushing right. And if you remember, in the attic area, there was an exhaust vent from one of the bathrooms that were just going into the attic. That's it right there. The one in the bathroom works fine. It went all the way out because I felt it blowing on the roof at the vent. So now then we check out the shower. As you can see down here, if you look real close, you can see where the mortar has a little bit of, not cracks, but it's moving away from the other tile. That means that water can get back behind that. Now we won't use a shower stopper on this one, but you can use a shower stopper. The reason why I'm not using a shower stopper is because I don't want to stop up the shower and make the water just all of a sudden run. Hopefully this thing has a drain pan under it, or a catch pan under it for the shower. So it looks like everything's working fine inside the shower. Anytime you have a bathtub and you're filling it up, it's best to stay with it, but man, you're going to lose a lot of time. So what I do is just taking this right here about 1.5 minutes to fill up that much. I'll go onto my clock, my timer, and I'll put in 2 more minutes and I'll hit start. Now, the reason why I do this is so that if I get tied up looking at something else, distracted in the bedroom that I'm fixing to go into, I'll know that when this goes off, I need to go check on that water. That's the way I do it. I believe that there are some little things that can go in there, and after when the water gets up a certain, then an alarm go off, but that's just the easiest way that I'll do it. So I'll come back here in 2 minutes. That way I'm not wasting any time. I'm gonna go ahead and look under the sink. Same thing for the kitchen, same thing for in here, any plumbing, just feel under it. That's an old stain, that's not from now. You can see that. So I'm gonna move over to the next one, check it the same way. You also want to make sure, go ahead. You want to also make sure that there are valves under there. Mobile homes a lot of times won't have the emergency on and off valves, the cut on and off valves for the water. You want to make sure that you have some of those. If they're not inside the house somewhere where they have the individual ones, you want to make sure they're under the counter. If they're not, just write it up that there's no on and off valves for the water fixtures underneath. Okay, we'll go in here. When I get inside the room, I'll just start checking the outlets. That looks okay. I'll just go around the whole area. I'm not really responsible for those, but I just like to check them anyway and see, make sure they do work. I just go through and I check the windows, just raise it up, raise it down. I'm here at the electrical panel. I'm just going to feel, see if any of the breakers feel hot. None of them do. Feel fine. This right here is really none of my business. It's cable. Looks like it might even be speaker wires. I don't even notate any of that. It doesn't matter. If the clients ask me a question about it, I'm going to tell them what it is. Even if there are light bulbs out, I'll still go ahead and put it in the report. So you got the light bulbs on the ceiling fan, and you got the light bulb in the ceiling. And so I get way over here, so I'll know where I was. Now I'll go through and I'll look at each corner, just to make sure that I don't see any kind of water leaks in the ceiling. And I had cracks at that wall on the outside, but I'm not seeing anything on the interior about that. So this room looks good to go. Now I'll go back to the bathroom and check my water. Okay, we can go to another bedroom. I still got some time with that water. What I normally do when I leave a bedroom is I'll close the door. Now that lets me know I'm done. That room's finished. If somebody's home, that can screw up your plan because I'll come back and open up the door and the lights. So I just go room to room, checking the electrical receptacles. And again, looking for anything like cracks, anything different. Whoa. Okay, got an open ground. So the first thing I need to do is make sure I know what room I'm in. So I'll take a picture of the whole room. I might even take a picture of outside, to kind of know where I am. And then I'll take a picture showing that there's an open ground. Another open ground. Another open ground. Not an open ground. Okay, so I'm going to add these two into the equation of open ground. You want to turn the fans on in every room on high to see if they're wobbling or to see if they make ugly noise. Okay, looks like everything looks good in this room. Let's go check our water. Okay, as I'm looking at this, it doesn't look like the controllers are working. These usually control the pressure coming out of the jets. So I'll take a picture of the jets, take a picture of the controllers, and the controllers are how much pressure is coming out of the water jets. And when I turn them, nothing different is happening. It stays the same. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the bathroom water, check the toilets, see if they're lit. Yep, they're the same. Yeah, I have no idea what that's about. Charles Manson used to live here. I don't know if this has anything to do with him or not. That's just air in the line, by the way. That's nothing. This house has probably been sitting for a little bit, and this is the hot water side. Okay, we're gonna go find the other bathrooms. This toilet is tight, but it's crooked. Okay, we'll come back to this bathroom in a minute and talk about what's not going on right. Okay, so in this half bath, loose toilet. So if it's flushing okay. No water leaks. But we do not have a exhaust vent inside this bathroom, and there's not a window. Now, just so you'll know, if there's no exhaust vent but there is a window, that's good enough as long as the window will raise up and close with no problem. But this bathroom has neither one, and it really needs it. Door doesn't shut. I usually just put down door doesn't latch with striker, metal striker. And then I'll open the door so I'll know where I was. Okay, on this window we'll put down hard to lock. Uh-oh. Have another open ground here. Another one there. Let me get a picture. Always check on the bath water. I got my alarm set though. Got a defective seal on this window. I always tell my clients that, you know, when a window company comes out to look at this, you might want to have them look at some other ones because they'll be dirty and sometimes it's really hard to tell. This one's real easy to tell. This one up here doesn't have one, I'm sure. But also I tell my clients, when somebody comes out, don't let them try to sell you a whole window unit. They in most cases, they can just replace these panes right here. Your clients don't have to have new windows put all throughout the house. Okay, this room's done. So is that one. So I fence it off by shutting the doors. There's a light fixture messing inside that closet right there. Once again, I want to take a picture of the room, know where I'm at. It's also missing its closet doors. And that's it on this one. All right, now for this bathroom. I'm checking to see if there's any leaks under this. I do the same thing on every one. I can see back in there that it looks like it is cast iron for the plumbing, but still, I won't make a positive that, here in Texas, you have to put down what the plumbing lining material is made out of. If I can't be positive on it, like even when I look under there, the connection, the 90-degree angle that's there, looks like it's a galvanized steel. The other part of it looks actually like copper, okay? Then when I go outside, it kind of favors cast iron. So, which is it? So I'll probably just put down that it's not visible, or it's not clear what type of plumbing drain line this house has. The toilet won't flush. It's not lined up right with the wall. Now, that probably is not mattering about its functionality, but I wouldn't want to sit on a toilet that isn't straight. Our drain grate is missing. From the drain. I always put that down. Somebody drops a ring, it's gone. The shower diverter won't raise up. So again, I step back, take a picture. I'll go ahead and get a picture of this whole bathroom where I'll know where I was. Oh, we got a door not closing right. It's just rubbing at the top a little bit. It's really not that bad. I think the door just needs to be adjusted, or a little cut up here. Okay. Checking the windows. That wall unit there is a little bit loose. And I'm taking it, we're in a dining room. Sometimes it's a little difficult to figure out. But you probably need to, the way I name my rooms is I name them on the top. Like if I'm in a dining room, it'll be in bold, and I use 12, size 12 font on that. This over here is probably a living room. That's probably a breakfast nook. They're kind of close together. I don't know why they'd have a dining area as you first come inside the house, but that's the only thing that I can figure out, is that this right here is supposed to be the dining area. So I'll name it that. Now, if I couldn't name it that, I'd just say the large room by the front door. It's that simple. But if you name things properly, you're not going to be getting phone calls. Not that phone calls are bad. Phone calls are okay, but why get a phone call if you're inside of an attic and you got to ask this guy and he wants to know which side of the house you're talking about, when you could have just put it in the report and you didn't need that phone call. This little bath trap. I will tell you, be careful when you open these up. There are snakes in there sometime. I'm looking in here. This is the bathtub I just got through running. If there's any kind of water leak or anything, I'll be able to see the residue of the water. And I am seeing a little bit of residue of water, so I'm going to go back and turn the bathtub back on. We'll leave that running for a second and come back to it. Window's a little tight. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the report. Got a crack in the wall here. I will go outside and see if I think that's where the house is added on. I thought it was further back. Okay, it is further back. I have no idea why that crack would be there. There's nothing in this area. Unless this may have used to be the area that was a garage, possibly. I don't know that for sure. Your electrical panel is cut off, and therefore it's missing 2 screws. The laundry room, the pipe just goes straight out the back on the floor. Normally they wouldn't have done that. They would have had it somewhere else. So I'm thinking that something was changed here. Now, the reason why I say that, if something was changed and I see this big crack in this wall, like this, that would be the reason why. Just poor workmanship. I don't really think that there's anything that could be going on here, but I don't know that. So I'm already going to have a foundation company to come out and take a look at everything because of the previous foundation work that it looks like it's had. And I'll mention this right here and there as well. But I really think that they closed this wall up. It's even possible this could have used to been a garage. I don't know none of that for sure. I do know that this part is where they added on to the part of the house. And the laundry room is on the other side of this wall. So it would only make sense if this is happening because of something that somebody put together. Yeah, there's nothing in there. Again, all that information I just gave you, you really don't need it. You just see the crack, you put it in the report. And since we have already evidence of movement, it's nothing to have this checked out when they come out here. And who knows, maybe it's previous. Maybe they've already fixed the foundation. Okay, let's go outside. Well, almost outside. There is a leak under the bathtub in this area. Now, if they wouldn't have had this trap door, I would have never seen that leak. That leak would have continued on forever. But, you know, it wasn't accessible. There's nothing that anybody could do to see that. Now, one thing that you can do on something like that is always go to an outside wall and see if it's leaking from there. In this case, this is another bathroom and you can't see anything. Okay, I've done the roof, I've looked at the foundation, and I'm done with the inside and the outside. But I never just leave. I'm going to go ahead and walk around the house, and we want to pay special attention to where the bathrooms are. So in your mind, know where the bathrooms are, and let's see if we see any water leakage at the slab, just in case. I doubt if there is at this house. Pretty sure there probably isn't, but we'll see. These are actual live events happening now. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm going through here, and I'm looking at the foundation anyway, looking for cracks. I'm at a mess before. I always go around the house before I leave. I go through each room before I leave, just to make sure and double check. You can never tell. So as I'm walking around, everything's looking great. I know that there's a bathroom here, but it's just a half bath. And then there's a bathroom back behind this wall. I'm not seeing anything there, but we did find a water leak behind the bath trap. Not the bath trap, but the bath opening that's there. So there is a bathtub leak there. So we'll come down here to the other bathrooms. And holy cow, can you believe this? Looks like we got something going on here. That's water leaking. Now that other bathroom is here, is where the bathtub is. Then you got a shower right here. And then you have the sink right here. So something in there is leaking. It's not my job to figure out what is leaking. It's just my job to report this. I'll take pictures of this and I'll report it. Now I am going to go inside and see if I can find out where the leak is. I want to know. But this will be in the report and the seller will know about this. This has been going on for a while, I bet. We'll find out when we go inside if we can see anything from the inside. A lot of times you can't see anything from the inside because the cabinets are there. So if I wouldn't have done a walk around, I wouldn't have found this. That's why it's so important to do a walk around just to double check. We can get another picture. Now we're going to go back inside. I want to take a moisture meter and my thermal imaging camera, and we're going to see if we can find anything about the water from the inside. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the water back on, and I'll be in here the whole time the water's on. Okay, a thermal imaging camera is not going to find the water. Okay? What a thermal imaging camera will do is it will detect different temperatures. And if that water is coming out, it's going to be a different temperature than what the inside of this house is. Sometimes you can even use hot water side and it'll show up even quicker if you wanted to do that. So all that I'm looking for, I'm just trying to see if I can see where water might be coming. Here goes a place right here. I got the cold water on right now. You see that cold water line right there? I can see it from here. You probably can't see it, but it looks like it's moist down there. So I'll do this again. See, you've even got a little bitty dark, see that little dark purple right there? Now I'm going to go in there, find out exactly where that is, and put my moisture meter on it. There it is. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it goes all the way up red. All the way up red. All the way up red. And that's been going on for a while because that's a little rotten right there. Just a side note, a while ago when I was talking about the tub, there's not a GFCI, a ground fault circuit interrupter for it that I can see. So in my report I put down there's not a visible GFCI for the jacuzzi tub. Okay, now then back onto this water leak. As you can see, the water leak isn't showing anywhere. Just a little bit of water here. And maybe when I walk back through the house, I might have noticed that. But still, it's walking outside that really caught it on the foundation wall. I don't know what's leaking, and it doesn't matter what's leaking. Main thing is it was caught, and they need to have somebody to come out here. In my report, I may explain, I don't know if there's damage in the wall, or if there is damage, how severe is it. The only thing that I know is there's a water leak going on in this master bathroom somewhere, and you don't get technical on it, you just lay it out there. Water's coming through the foundation, recommend a plumber. Now then, next we're going to go and I want to show you something on the roof. I'm on a roof today, but I'm without gloves, of course. I should have gloves, but I don't, because I just wanted to show you something. Anytime you go on a roof that's steep or it's got the valleys that you're going to have to climb up and kind of go use your hands. I'm not really talking about this type of roof. You know what kind of roof I'm talking about. The one that you think you're going to die before you actually climb on it. Anyway, when you're coming down, sometimes you'll have to use your hands. You can get on a roof at 10 a.m. and it's not that warm, but then by 12 noon or 11, you can get on a roof and this can be starting to get a lot warm. On this roof right here, right now, if this was a different type of roof, I would have gloves on for sure. Right now, this roof is showing 171 degrees. Okay, I'm going to show you how my software works. There's a lot of softwares out there. I've really had only 3 softwares. I'm not going to get into the name of the ones I've had. And this is my third one. This one I like a lot. It's the Whisper software. I feel more comfortable with it. It can't go on a phone. That's a drawback. But everything else works great for me. I can actually carry my unit around. On my camera, it takes a few seconds, but they're going to automatically download here. With Whisper, I can, wherever my cursor is, then a picture would go there, for instance. There's my picture. Right now, I want all these pictures that we took to go in here. You'll see that download in a minute. I also use Dragon. It's Nuance. Basically, I can talk into this. I actually have commands in Dragon that work out really well for me. And I'll show you a few of those once these pictures download. You can see them downloading right here. I don't use a cord or anything like that. I just have a regular camera. It does have a iFi. That's a little SD card that I have. I don't think you can purchase those anymore. We're out in the country right now. The area that we're in doesn't really have any internet connection at all. And I can still use this with my computer to where I don't have to go back and forth with a cord. And that's it. That's 152 pictures just downloaded in there. Okay, just real quick, let's do this. Let me find something. I go over under plumbing, like where the interior is right there. I'm setting up my headset. Go right here. I can say kitchen. No GFCIs in kitchen. I can write it out like that if I want to. You can see it up there. No kitchen GFCIs. Or it can come out just like that. In short, I have a lot of commands like that. That's inside of Dragon. It's not part of Whisper. Over here on the side where Whisper is, I have all my stuff there, just in case I forget one of my commands that I can go back and I can look at. But for the most part, everything that I have is inside of DragonNet. I go in there and I make up my macros in there. Okay? Well, we finished this inspection. And the main thing going on with this home, from my point of view, is the leak in the slab foundation. Somebody needs to look at that and see what's going on. The AC unit isn't working properly on the left side of the house. That's a problem. A few other little minor details. We had some open grounds. Technically, the home does have ground. There are neutral wires inside the electrical panel that show that the house should be grounded. There are ground wires inside the electrical panel that shows the house should be grounded at the plugs, but they're showing open ground, so that needs to be checked out from a point of view of an electrician. And then the other thing, I guess the two main things is the water leak in the slab, the HVAC unit, and then it looks like there's been foundation movement. It's hard to distinguish foundation movement after a foundation has been fixed and they're showing maybe the same cracks, or after a foundation has been fixed, is there more movement after that? So we did find that it looks like the foundation has been repaired at one time. We're going to recommend that they have a foundation company, maybe even that same foundation company, to come out and look at it. If you need any more resources, then you can easily go to internatchi.org, and you can find all kinds of information out there on anything that you want to talk about.
Doesn't matter what it is. You just go there and you can find it. Once again, I'm Brian Cameron with Camelot Home Inspections out here in Texas. And everybody, keep cool.